What's going on, everybody? Welcome to this week's edition of Snap Decisions. I hope you're having a great week wherever you may be listening from. It is hot. My goodness, it is hot. It's funny. I associate so much of my of the show with my DJing stuff, and rightly so. I associate a lot of my life with music, as I'm sure a lot of us do. And often when I first start the show, I think of the Kiss song called Psycho Circus. If you've never heard it, it always starts and I say, "Welcome to the show." And I think of that when I start out, and then, but it's, it's funny because I did the DJing thing for a good while and I miss it. And the show is, helps me to be able to have fond memories of that part of my life. But man, it is so hot outside. It's scorching. It's literally close to 100 degrees here. It was over 100 degrees yesterday. It was so hot that when I had a doctor's appointment in the afternoon. When I went to the doctor's, I parked my car, of course, outside. When I came outside to my car, I couldn't touch the steering wheel. Could not touch the steering wheel. That's how hot it was. It's insanely hot in the Northeast. And it's crazy because, I've often said it's weird up here. We don't get seasons anymore like we used to. When I was growing up, you used to always have designated things, right? You had winter, which you expected the snow and the ice and the cold, then it transitioned to spring. Winter would last, through January, February mostly, and then kind of March would start getting spring-like. And I love the spring and I love the fall. And it just seems like we don't get either season anymore. And I know, believe it or not, a lot of people believe it's true. Some people don't. But the whole thing with climate change, I can't help but believe it. I've been around for 55 years. And, of course, I was a baby through some of that. So, of course, I don't remember. But, I've been around for a long time and I've seen all this stuff, and I can't help but believe in it because things have just changed so much as far as the climate's concerned. We don't get spring and fall anymore. It seems like it transitions from winter. I mean, my goodness, I had my heater going in almost the beginning of June, which is insane. And the weather guys attribute it to the polar vortex dropping down, and that's the thing that you really get a lot of harsh winter weather from, and that coming down attributed to it. But it's just crazy. And then we get what seems like rainy season, where it just rains nonstop. And we had so much rain. We were in a drought last year. This year now we're there's flood staging going on. So it's just one extreme to the other. And now all of a sudden, the spring stuff, the rain, all that has kind of ended, and we shoot full blown into hot summer. So it's crazy. It's really crazy up here. So, when people tell you to go outside and touch grass, I wouldn't be telling anybody that right now, because stay inside in the air conditioning because it's nasty out there, man. It is nasty. There's some, the cities like New York and Philly and stuff like that getting like 100 plus, 105, 108, where you can literally fry eggs on car hoods. No joke. I have an aunt who lives in Phoenix, Arizona. And, they often say, well, it's dry heat, it's like, who cares? Heat is heat. It doesn't matter if it's dry heat, humid heat. It doesn't matter. It's still freaking hot. And she had that little experiment once where she literally took a fried egg, went out, put it on the hood of her car, and it fried. The egg fried. That's when it's that hot, it's hot. And my poor dog's feeling it. And thankfully we have air conditioning in the house and stuff. But oh man, it has been just crazy weather up here. And we're almost into July. It's that's the thing. Starting in but I don't know. Maybe we'll go into September now, where it'll be more summer-like. And then the winters will get, one of the weather guys I listen to on a regular basis, he's not a TV guy. He doesn't embellish things. I kind of like his honesty. And he just kind of started doing his thing on YouTube and stuff. But he actually said that because of the climate change, that we're going to get to a point where I live in Northeast Pennsylvania, where we won't see much snow at all. and the snow is going to start to push south. And there was a prime example of that when Florida, the beaches in Florida got snow last year. So it's crazy, and it's just a part of it. But yeah, it's always try to enjoy that. Enjoy the times like that with your families, and when you do get to go out and you do things, and when you're outside with your kids or the dog or the pets or whatever the case might be, enjoy it, because it's fleeting, and you just never know with these goofy seasons and weather how things are going to work. But that's my weather report for you guys. There you go. So I'm starting off with a weather report and a little bit of music reference and stuff too. But we are here for Snap, as you all may know, and it's been a week. Wow, has it been a week? When I did this pod last week, I knew it was coming. I previewed it a little bit for you guys. I told you what my feelings were, talking about it, and boy, did it escalate. And I'm going to go over that in the spin again this week, but it's basically going to be just my reactions to what I saw from a lot of the other people and what I've heard from other folks. The creators all did their own little videos. Regis Kilbin's, I think, I'm gonna talk more about the creators who I admire, who I've had on my show, the ones that have impacted me, and I'm gonna give my responses to what I heard. And I've listened to them all. I heard Regis's video, listened to it, watched it. Same thing where Regis was with Cozy and Alex. I heard what they had to say. I listened to a lot. I listened to a lot of creators' responses. It's Guest Gaming, of course. And they've all had similar things, and some had different things to say. And I'm gonna give you my spin, hence the DJ spin on it. I of course heard the other podcasts in our network. Laser, of course, did a video about it. I heard what Lauren and Ben Roller and Ree had to say on their podcast. I heard what Kier Nimbus had to say on his pod. And so I'm just going to give you my thoughts on it going forward and what I think it all means in the spin today. I've got two questions. I've got one really heavy question. Really good. It took a lot of thought. I had to think on it last night into today, and it's a heavy question, and I've got a lighter question for the DJ call-in segment. Of course, we got What's in the Shop. We're going to talk about what's in the shop today, and of course, the Sanctum is coming soon, so we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll talk a little bit about kind of wrapping up a little bit about last week's card, and we'll talk about. I did manage to get one of the cards, mind you. I took my volts, I guess they're called. I took them and I spent them on the variant. I got the Doctor Doom variant, and I got the Iron Lad variant. Which, oh God, I feel bad for the poor artist who did that. I'll have to look him up, but they didn't. It's not. It doesn't. It doesn't come out of the card. It's like the Marvel Rivals ones. When you split them, there's no 3D effect. There's no, and I like the art. I like the artwork, but unfortunately they chose not to do that with that card. So I blew all my volts on that, and then I got to another level with the volts they were giving me for free to take another shot at the $15,000 thing. So I took another shot at that, and I was able to get Cobra. So I got the one of the cards at least that I won't have to buy. Kid Omega, I absolutely refused. I told everybody I will not spend gold, and I did not. I spent no gold whatsoever on that mode. I did play it because, I get sick of ladder. I told you guys that. I'm in that 80s slog again where it's all, you're getting decks that just go up against what you're trying to play, and you know the story. I'm not going to bore you with it. But so I played a lot of voltage, but I will not purchase that card, and I will wait till it comes into caches or into the packs, which is going to be, they said, in a month or 3 weeks, whatever. But I will not give them any gold. I will not buy any gold to purchase a card. I will not. So that's my little stance on that. But we'll go over the variants and stuff. I'll talk about some of the decks that I played. in High Voltage. And then, of course, we'll talk about Dormammu, another one of my, another favorite villain of mine. Nightmare and Dormammu, of course, two of my favorite Marvel villains. And we got to see Dormammu, of course, in the MCU early on in the very first Doctor Strange film. And I wouldn't doubt we see him again if we do get a Doctor Strange 3, because where him and Clea were headed was, and Clea, by the way, is Dormammu's daughter. I don't know if you knew that, but she is. And so, I wouldn't be surprised if we see him again at some point in the MCU if they do decide to bring back Doctor Strange. We don't know what's going on with that. But we'll talk about him in Comics Corner today. I'm not going to do, because again, he's a bigger character, so I'm not going to do two characters this week. I'm not too sure when I'm going to catch up on the others. I eventually will, like Nicholas Scratch and the others I haven't caught up with yet, the other X-Men's that we've been getting. The other X-Men that we've been getting. I'll catch up on them at some point in a longer Comics Corner. And then, of course, I have the MCU Minute. We'll talk about Ironheart, which starts in a little over an hour. So when I'm done with this podcast, I'm going to tune in to the first 3 episodes of Ironheart tonight. And I believe it's only 6. Some of the critics and stuff have gotten to see all 6. And some had some good things to say about it. Some not so much, as you might expect. But I'm going to watch for myself and see what it's about. I enjoy the character in comics, and we got a little nudge from RDJ, which was kind of nice. So we'll get into that and more as we inch closer to July and the Fantastic Four First Steps, which, by the way, Wednesday, this is going to be part of my my Comics Corner, but I may as well say it. Wednesday, we are getting the last trailer for Fantastic Four before the film comes out. Now, some are rumoring that we are going to get our first glimpse at the face of Galactus. So we'll just have to see. But some are rumoring that that's part of what we are going to get. So, in any case, let us get into it, shall we? Well, first of all, I'm going to say that I am a proud member, an honored member to be part of the Snap Judgments League of Podcasts, which includes such amazing podcasts, of course, as Snap Judgments, of course, Glazer's Pod. I was just on there a couple of weeks ago. He does that every single Thursday. I've been invited back, which is cool. He told me to let him know when I want to be on again. So thank you so much to Glazer, obviously, for that. And for doing that pod, and also for pouring his heart out on the pod itself when he did the reaction to all this stuff that was going on. So Glazer is just a great guy in the middle of a big move. He's moving, and whenever you uproot your family, it is very difficult. So obviously wish him the best in his move. But check that out every single Thursday. It is on. He streams it live, and then of course it's on audio after that Saturday, I believe. So Kier Nimbus also poured out his heart on his pod this past week, so much so that he couldn't really do much else. He wasn't able to really talk about anything else other than his feelings and thoughts, as a lot of creators were. And what that just shows me is the passion that he has for the game. And you could see that, and I think you're gonna see that with a lot of creators, and I respect them for that. But check out Kier Nimbus. He does his on Saturdays, and just talks about the state of the game as he did this past week. Talks about new cards, and which I'm sure he will do this week, and all that kind of stuff. And Kier's going to be back on my show soon. I wanted to have him on last night, but things didn't work out for Monday, unfortunately. But I will be having 2 guests, Kier and Oracle Chick, who I met on Twitter. She is Dexter's mod, which is very cool. So she is going to come on the show as well. And I'm going to try to get them on next Monday and have them on together. I still owe the guys I feel bad. I still owe them a pod coming up too. It's just crazy again with the job and stuff like that. Again, I'm back in management for the first time in like 8 years. And because of that, it's rough. I have to work different schedules, I work closing a lot more than I was, and so that gets difficult. But they are the people that are in the alliance from the How Can She Snap pod, and I promise I will get them on at some point going forward too. All right, and of course we have the Snap on this, folks. So Lauren Whatevs, Ben Roller, and Ree just, and again, talked about what their thoughts were on this whole thing on their pod as well. Their pod is always very fun, and I thought the last week's episode was really one of their best that I've heard in a while. They're all great, but they put on a really good episode last week, so check them out. Their podcast comes out every single Friday. So, okay, let's get into the spin. So, the debacle about the overdrive high voltage thing and the ramifications of it with the creators and what my feelings are going forward on the game and all of it. So first off, I was following It's Guest Gaming. Obviously, he was the first one that I saw put out a video. So I listened to his video, very passionate, very very good video that he talked about how he was, close to the vest as far as with Second Dinner and had been working with Second Dinner and things like that. And, and he was hoping to get a response. There was a response from Second Dinner that everybody was kind of waiting for. And it wasn't the response that a lot of us thought we would get. We were used to getting responses from Second Dinner whenever there was kind of an outcry of the audience. And this one was not what we all thought we would get. And nothing of the sort. Then I watched, of course, KM Best's reaction. They all had a reaction to the reactions or to the response from Second Dinner. And Glazer's response and Regis's response were the ones that hit me, I think, the hardest. Regis's was very heartfelt. And again, this is how you can tell. And I haven't met all of these people. I have not gotten the pleasure to meet. I had a few discussions with Guest Gaming on X about him coming on the podcast possibly, but he's just very busy. And of course, I've met and been on Glazer's pod. He's been on mine. Regis has been on my podcast. If you haven't listened to that, go check it out. It was a great episode. And KM Best, of course, I haven't had the pleasure of meeting. I've interacted with him a little bit. And he's chosen some of my comments for that hot takes thing that he does. And then, obviously Cozy and Alex. Alex, I had some interactions with in DMs on Twitter. But this was kind of even before I really started my podcast. But he was nice enough to interact with me a little bit on there. And Cozy I'd never gotten to interact with, of course. And I'm not really surprised by that. He's, again, very busy with his Rivals thing. And some of them it's tough because the only way you could really interact with them would be on, through Twitter, DMs and things like that. A lot of people don't even respond to those, and I don't blame them because I'm sure they get inundated with a bunch of nonsense and stuff like that, and they get inundated with a lot of just things, and it would be so hard to just, and I've been there, done that. I when I've done my wrestling podcast and stuff like that, we certainly aren't the largest creator of pro wrestling material, but we have a pretty good size audience. We've had well over 200,000, 300,000 views on our YouTube stuff that we do. So you obviously can't answer all of the comments. It's just very difficult. So, but out of all of those people that I listen to, I listen to Zombies Go Nom Nom talk about it. You name it, I probably listen to it. And one of the things were clear, and that was the overall response was about miscommunication And that's not what anybody really wanted to hear, including myself. I don't want to hear about miscommunication. Coming out and saying that, well, we should have made it clear or clearer that in this particular mode, we were going to give you the ability to discount a card, not necessarily give you a card, as in past modes of this. And, so they blamed it on miscommunication. But, that's not what anyone wanted to hear, and nor did I. And I think it was kind of abrasive to a lot of people. I know that Griffin kind of, because he's the head of like player relations, I guess, and stuff like that. And he kind of took the brunt of all of it. But look, it wasn't what we wanted to hear. I'm not going to dwell on it. I'm not going to read it over because I'm sure all of you guys have heard it in one way, shape, or form. All I'm going to say is that it looks to me as if the game is going for more monetization. I don't think it's a coincidence that this started after Second Dinner got rid of the whole Newverse thing and started to self-publish. I don't know business standpoint relationships. I don't know what the monetization looks like or what monetary stuff is that they have. I don't know any of that. All I know is that putting a card behind a paywall and allowing the so-called whales or the people who aren't adverse to spending hundreds of dollars for a card, which I haven't seen that since the days of Magic in the 90s, the mid-90s to 2000s, when a lot of the cards that we had collected in packs were starting to then go for hundreds and hundreds of dollars because they were very rare. And people then at that point wanted them. Where in the beginning, when we were collecting, we were just buying packs. Now, some of the packs we were buying were from old sets that you couldn't get anymore. So dealers, card dealers caught on to that. And they started to charge, like, instead of $2 to $3 a pack, which is what we were paying for unlimited Magic cards back in the day, we're starting to now go for $15 to $20 a pack. When we were starting to buy a set called Legends, which was the set that had come out when we first started collecting, they were selling those cards for $15 a pop. So to buy 3 packs, it cost you $45, $50. And we were buying them, which was kind of insane. But I haven't seen prices of cards go for that much since those days of Magic. And so, but even still, right? You had a physical something in your hand. If someone wanted to buy a Black Lotus, now I was lucky enough to have one, but if someone wanted to buy one back in like the late 90s, early 2000s, you were shelling out hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. Nowadays, my God, that card goes for $50 to $150 to $200,000. So you were shelling out, but you were always buying something physical. Kid Omega, that's the one thing I have to caution you all with, guys, is this. Don't forget that this is a digital card game. Don't forget that, because you have to keep that in mind when you consider that you own nothing. Nothing. Your cards that you have in Snap are on a server. You own nothing. When this game goes away, and it will, because they all do. I hate to be the one to burst anyone's bubble with that, but they all go away. And when they do, now Magic is still going, yes, there are exceptions, but at some point, someday, this game will go away, will cease to exist. And all of that money that you threw out on gold, cards, whatnot, packs, whatever the case might be, is like you took it and you flushed it down the toilet or you burned it. So just keep that in mind. I don't want to sound sobering. I don't want to be disheartening, but that is the God's honest truth. You own nothing from this game. Nothing. If they were to one day say, we are finished, guys, they shut the server down, and every bit of money that you put into this game is gone. Gone. I don't want to be the one to sober you up with that, but that is the God's honest truth. I've had it happen. I talked to you guys about that Marvel Battle Lines thing. I blew a good amount of money on that, and it was like I took it, went outside, and in cash format, I lit a match to it, and I burned it. Could I have used that? Hell yeah. There have been some practical things in my... Listen, I was always a collector. But the thing was, when I was a collector of things, whether it be vinyl records, most recently in the last 10 years, I got back into vinyl, or whether it be DVDs, movies, or whether it be collectibles, I still have a lot of that. And the stuff that I don't have, I was able to sell and get money for it. With Marvel Battle Lines, that was my first ever experience with a game like that, where I blew all that money, and I could have kept that for something much, much more important. Hundreds to thousands of dollars that I could have used for way more practical things. A new car. All of that, that I could have had much more enjoyment from, and a physical item. That's the thing you really need to keep in mind that's a little sobering about this, is that someday Marvel Snap will cease to exist. And when it does, you look back and you think to yourself, because there'll be a period of that. Trust me, there will. You'll go through a mourning period of it, and you will think to yourself, what you spent all that money on was the enjoyment that you got out of the game. But but eventually, what you spent all that money on is nothing but a memory. That's it. Now, you can look at it that way, and that's a positive way to look at it. We all spend money on memories. But you hope that, you took a trip to Disney, and you went with your family, and you got pictures, and you got videos, and maybe you got some souvenirs, right? You won't even get that. You won't even get pictures or souvenirs from a game that shuts down. You won't get that. All you're going to have is your memories. That's it. For me, it'll be the recordings of these podcasts that I'll have. But that's going to be all. So please keep that in mind going forward about what you're going to choose to spend money on. And I know a lot of people are rethinking now, should I get the season pass? I can't tell you that. I will, but because I've always gotten the season pass. But I can tell you this. That's going to be all I'm getting. I am not buying any more gold. I'm not buying the gold pass anymore either. I'm not. Because the gold pass just gives you that extra 50 gold or whatever it is a day. All that's going to do is tempt you into wanting to spend it. And I refuse. I am not getting that anymore. Excuse me, I had to take a drink. I'm not getting that anymore. I will get the season pass because I'm still going to try to get all the cards. The premium season pass, that's going to be a very hard sell. And I haven't decided on that yet. I'm leaning toward no. I got it the last couple of months, but I'm leaning toward no on it. I could always get the Fantastic Car eventually in a snap pack, I would imagine. Unless they're not going to do that, which I really don't know. But in any case, I went on a tangent. And but the Regis thing hit me hard because Regis, first off, is a great guy. I know that because I met him and I talked to him. Secondly, I was really taken aback by the fact that Second Dinner just doesn't communicate with people like him. And I don't understand that. You know, creators, and I'm not even going to include myself in it because I do this for fun. I certainly don't make a dime on it. I haven't monetized the audio pod at all when I could have, but I didn't do that. I'm not making anything for it on YouTube, so I'm making nothing. I do this because I enjoy it. But the fact that you've got a guy like that, who is certainly getting a ton of views for his videos and getting you publicity, getting you word of mouth about your game, why the hell would you not want to work with someone like that? You know, I understand they do work with Guest Gaming, of course, according to what he said. Obviously, they have worked with KM Best because KM does their tournaments a little bit. I don't know to what extent. Cozy has worked for them on some of their videos. Cozy and Dexter, I know. But now Cozy is doing Rivals, and Cozy said on the video that he had with Alex and Regis that even himself hasn't been talked to, reached out to, or anything like that. Now I can maybe see that standpoint, and I'm not saying that it's right, but maybe because he's doing Rivals content that they kind of spurned him because of that. I don't know, which is to me is petty, but maybe from a business standpoint they can't. But that's kind of stupid anyway, because they're not even a competitor. It's not like they're competitors. They're not a mobile game. Like they're still Marvel, and it's all under the same Marvel tree. In fact, they had that relationship together where they did the cards for the game and stuff like that. So that shouldn't even be. And then Alex also mentioned that, you know, he has had little to no communication with Second Dinner. There's 3 of your biggest content creators in the game. Why? Like why not? I mean, if I'm running a game, why not? If they are they're bringing you people. They're bringing you an audience. Why wouldn't you communicate with them? Why wouldn't you want them to be part of your little inner circle, so to speak? And I'm not saying that they deserve, because I know a lot of people get jealous of that, right? They're like, well, why should they have the right to, you know, what makes them think they're so special because they do YouTube videos? I'm not saying that. I'm saying just from a business standpoint. And again, I told you who I met and who I haven't. I've never met Cozy. I've never met Alex, other than to speak to him on Twitter. You know, so I'm not saying that they deserve more than what anyone else does. All I'm saying is that I think that it would have been in their best interest to maybe gauge a little bit from these guys, and to get an idea of what their communities are saying. I know Second Dinner is saying they listen to people, but I'm not so sure about that. I'm not so sure who they listen to. All I can say going forward is, and I told you this last week, I would be very wary if I were a player of this game on what you spend. Because I think that things have changed. And maybe it's because they've become self-published. I do agree. And I've heard this, Regis, Cozy, and Alex talked about this. On that pod, Regis talked about it on his show. Glazer talked about it on his. I do agree that this could be attributed to the fact that they are paying for the Marvel license. I alluded to this. I've noticed a change, a very small change in the comic book variants I told you guys about. And the fact that they're pulling covers now from What If Comics only. And I told you that I kind of think that this is a monetary thing or a licensing thing, because they may not have the rights to use anything but What If Comics anymore. And I know, I'm sure, I don't know the money behind it or the amount, But I am sure that that Marvel license, that has to come from Disney, by the way, because Disney owns Marvel, is expensive. It is probably outrageously expensive. And they've got to be paying them back for that. And now that they are self-published, they may want or may have to move away from that license because maybe their projections aren't meeting the costs that it's going to take to support having that license for an extended or longer period of time. That is the sobering reality of the game and the business. It is very expensive to have a Marvel license right now. This is why you see the whole thing with the MCU and Sony. And this is why Sony is they are hanging on to their Spider-Man stuff, regardless of whether or not the big juggernaut of Marvel and Disney wants to get it back from them. And boy, they probably regret it because they can't do stuff with the Spider-Man stuff the way they want because they don't own it anymore. It was sold off to Sony back in the 2000s when Marvel was struggling as a company and they went bankrupt for a time. I don't know if you guys knew that. During the when the comics were kind of dying out and the age of the 90s kind of, some people said killed comic book industry. That's when they sold a lot of their properties. That's why they sold Hulk to Universal. And to this day, you may notice that we have still not gotten an appearance of the Hulk in his own movie that wasn't produced by Universal. Now they're saying that's over, but we still haven't seen it. And people are still wondering why no Mark Ruffalo movie or why no World War Hulk. And it's been rumored and rumored and rumored. Well, now all of a sudden the Hulk is coming back in the MCU, but he is joining in on the Spider-Man film. He's never in his own movie. So it's still probably tied up in rights hell. The Sony thing is a mess. Marvel can't do anything with Spider-Man without Sony's permission or without having some sort of co-op with Sony. And so I would bet that all of this stuff that Snap is now doing is, and I'm talking about milking the players out of money, which I honestly feel, and I know some people are going to say, you're exaggerating, you're a doomsayer. I honestly feel, guys, that this is only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. We're seeing the tip of the iceberg with Kid Omega. We're seeing a little more with the Fantastic Car being behind the paywall. Gotta buy the better season pass or you're not going to get the card. It's happening more and more. And it's going to continue to happen more and more and more. They have said they are going to do more and more of these sanctums, these Deadpool's Diners, these mini games. They're going to do more of that. So now Sanctum came out, right? They already previewed it. We are getting a free card, if you want to call it a card. It's not a card. It is a what do they call them? A spell. It is a spell that you're going to get. So we're not getting a card from the game anymore in Sanctum either. Now, I don't know. Is there going to be other things in there? Maybe. But the grand prize is not a card. It is a spell. So you see, guys, it is changing. It is changing. And I am not seeing it. It's changing for the better for us and our wallets. It is changing for the worse. It is changing toward where we are going to need to pay more money, more gold to get our hands on the cards. And that is just facts. It is going to continue to happen. We did not get an apology. I didn't expect the Kid Omega card to be given away. I did not expect it. But I did expect them to say, yeah, we effed up. So we're gonna drop the price of Kid Omega from 50,000 to 25. That's what I thought would happen. It didn't. What that shows me is that all of this stuff going at what I just told you guys about the Marvel license, the business, the stuff behind the scenes. Look, guys, I've worked in retail for 38 years. I know a lot of what goes on behind the scenes in the retail industry and business. And retail, yes, it's not gaming, but it's all the same thing. These companies have to profit. They have to make a profit. If they are not seeing enough profit, and I always refer to it in retail as the big dudes that sit in the chairs in the Wall Street headquarters that are looking at nothing but numbers of stock. They are the ones who are running these businesses. It's not the managers. It's not the district managers. It's not the regional managers. It is the guys on the Wall Street that are looking at all of these numbers every single day. Profit and loss. How are you going to pay for that Marvel license? Are you making enough profit to be able to pay Disney what they want for that license? And if you're not, how are you going to keep this game alive? How are you going to keep it going? What are you going to do to get the cash needed to pay for that license to keep this game going? And guys, the hard part about all this is if they don't get it, the game is done. That's it. The game is done. I've seen games end. The game that I've been playing all day today and for the past week, I told you guys, is that Friday 13th game, the asymmetrical, the asim team game. I've been playing it again. I'm not playing it on anything that's a game that's. I'm not playing it on a system. I'm playing it on a DNS server because the game got shut down. Why? Because Gun Media was told that they must cease and desist all operations of the game due to a lawsuit that was done about the name of Friday the 13th. And what does that all lead to, guys? Money. Money. Victor Miller, who owned the rights to the original Friday the 13th screenplay because he wrote it, sued New Line Cinema and the company saying that, hey, I want my money that I deserve. And guess what? He deserves it. And a lot of these writers back in the day, and this goes for comic book writers and stuff too, a lot of these guys never got a cent. They didn't get paid for their work. They deserve it. I'm not going to hold him accountable for that. But then Sean Cunningham, who owns the rights to Jason and all that other kind of stuff, he countersued because he didn't want to pay him. There went the game because of money. It's all about the dollar. Doesn't the feelings of us as players of this game don't matter. It's about the bottom line. Companies close when they can't meet their bottom line, when they can't make profit. That's what it's all about. So what Cozy and Alex and Regis talked about, what Guest Gaming talked, it is all about the money. Don't be fooled by it. It's all about the money. And if they're seeing a decline and they're not getting enough money, they're going to have to do things. And this may not be something Griffin wants to see as an individual. This may not be something that Ben Brode wants to see. This may not be something Glenn wants to see. But ultimately, they have people they answer to. And they've got to pay for that heavy Marvel license. This is why they already announced, and I didn't realize this, but they are working on another game. Do you want to know what they're working on? If you haven't heard already, it's a Match 3 game. Do you know how many Match 3 games are on the shop for Apple? Probably thousands. Thousands. There's tons. But you know what they probably won't have to deal with that? A license that they have to pay for. that cost them probably millions and millions of dollars. I sound like The Rock. Millions and millions of money every single year to be able to have to pay Disney to keep it. That simple. Anything licensed. I just heard about because again, I told you guys I love horror stuff and I listen to I just heard about a lot of people were assuming because Gun Media, the company that made Friday the 13th, shut down Texas Chainsaw Massacre pretty abruptly and said they weren't doing anything else with the game. They didn't shut it down. It's just not getting any new updates or anything like that. And people had assumed that maybe they were going to do another Friday the 13th because now you have this whole thing that Friday the 13th is split. It's basically a thing called Jason Universe, which is a bunch of nonsense and nothing but a business thing. And then there's also the people that are doing the Crystal Lake stuff, which I think has more to do with Victor Miller because he wrote originally. So basically what it is Jason is split in two. Jason is now... I'm going to give you a little Friday the 13th lesson, but it leads into this kind of stuff too. Jason is now two parts. Jason is his own thing, but he can't use Friday the 13th. Crystal Lake is going to be a series about Jason's mom and about young Jason. They can use that, but they can't call it Friday the 13th either. So you see what I'm coming from? So there's another new thing that maybe Gun Media is going to do, and a lot of people were speculating it was going to be Friday the 13th. It's probably not. It's probably going to be a Halloween game that they're going to work on. But back to my original point. I know I went on a tangent, and I apologize. And I've gone on long with this, and I'm getting to the end. Buyer beware. That's all I'm going to tell you all. I'm not going to stop doing my podcast. I like doing it. I like playing the game still. So I'm going to continue to play it. I am certainly not going to spend $1 on any more gold. So the gold pass is done. Unfortunately, I will not be giving away any more gold passes, and I don't think you can anyway. Glazer had mentioned that. He tries to do giveaways all the time for season passes and stuff like that. He cannot because they changed the shop. So I cannot do it either, and I will not be buying gold for myself. Going forward, I will buy the season pass, and that is it. I doubt I'm buying the premium, even though I'll miss the fantastic car, but what could you do? That is how I am going to let them know in my own way that, other than to talk on the podcast here, you guys can choose to do whatever it is you like, but all I'm going to tell you is be very, very careful. Because I do not see a good ending coming for this. I hope because I love doing this show. And I love talking to all of you. And I love having guests. And I love talking to people like Laser. And people like Regis. And people like Nina is Noob, who I had on my show. And all the other people who I've had on my show. And the people who I will have on my show. Because I love to do that. Because it allowed me to relive a part of my life that I had a lot of fun doing. And I will miss it dearly if it goes away. But I'll miss it because I can't do this. Not because I'm sitting in front of a phone screen. And yes, I'll miss the interactions on there too. With some of the people. I mean, I had a lot of, people give me the Ms. Marvel thumbs up crap. Those people, I couldn't care less. But when I do come across someone I know, and I've come across creators who've recognized me. I've come across other players who've recognized me and stuff. And give me a fist bump or whatever, however you could do it in emote form. That I will miss. But I'm just telling you guys, please be aware that mobile games do not last long. And Marvel has bigger and better things. They have big video games. They do the Spider-Man games. There's a Wolverine game coming soon on PlayStation. I've heard about other possible RPGs that they're thinking of doing with Marvel. There's a Captain America, Black Panther game coming on PlayStation soon. You have Rivals that's out there that's doing pretty well from what I understand. I don't play it, but I've heard of that. You have other Marvel mobile games. Marvel will continue to do games, regardless of whether Snap does or not. So just be very careful. And you guys can choose to do whatever it is that makes you happy. The only thing I will tell you is, guys, is from this, you are getting nothing in return. At least with a PlayStation game, you have the hardware. If you buy it, you don't even really have to buy digital or hardware anymore. You could download it. But technically, you'll always have that on your system. Even if the game dies, at some point, it'll still be there if you want to go back and play it. You will not have that with this game. So, all right, that is it for me. That's my thoughts on it. I'm not going to discuss it any further unless some news comes out about it. I don't think Second Dinner is going to discuss it any further. It certainly didn't sound like it. All I will say is if they bring this back, and I would guess they're going to evaluate, but if they bring this mode back, I will play. I will play it, and I will certainly not buy the card from it. I will not give any gold for any cards going forward in this game. So, yeah. All right, that's it for the spin, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for listening to that. I know it ran long, but I didn't do my own video. I was going to. But I did not, and I figured I would just save it for this episode. And so there you go. I will be having, like I said, some people on in the future, like Kier and an Oracle chick I will have on, and I will get their thoughts. And I probably will get the thoughts of everyone that I have going forward on my show about what they think and what the future of this game is going to be. Meantime, life goes on. And today we got Dormammu and things are going on. And tomorrow we will get Sanctum and all that stuff. So life goes on. All I will just tell you is just beware of what you're going to do in this game going forward. So, all right, we're moving on to the DJ call-in. And I have two questions. I have one question from Models. These are both from Blue Sky, so thank you both. Models, Mottelz, models.bsky, bluesky.social, so check him out on there. And, of course, I also have Voltron Pilot. I loved Voltron when I was a kid, by the way. At voltronpilot.bsky.social. So, I'm going to answer the lighter question first, which is from Voltron Pilot. Because I think it'll be a much quicker one. And then I'll go to Models question, which is the heavy question that I talked about. All right. So Voltron Pilot asks, here is a much lighter question. I've got to get some sound effects for this pod, lighten it up a little bit. I've got to get some sound effects. I got to get like a call, like a phone call ringing or something. So I'm going to get that for next week. I'm going to throw that on here. Just to, the call in, ring, that ring, that kind of thing. The old 80s phone ringing thing. And I'm going to get that. I'm going to get some other sound effects and stuff going. Make this a little bit more fun. Here's a much lighter question. Who are your favorite? This is a music question. Who are your favorite metal bands? How do the classics compare to modern acts? Well, it's going to depend on what your definition of metal is. I've always been, since I was about 6 or 7 years old, a Kiss fan. Did you want to call Kiss metal? They're glam rock, I think, more than that. Metal, I got into metal in the 80s. Now, some people are going to say Kiss is definitely not metal, they're glam. And I would agree with you. So, some of my favorite, maybe heavier metal bands are, I'm a Metallica fan. Got into Metallica around the time of And Justice for All, when they came out with their first ever video, which was on MTV for the song called One, which is a great song, by the way. Now, some are saying, some Metallica fans that are hardcore, right? These are the ones who are listening to them since Kill 'Em All or Cliff 'Em All, whatever you want to call that album. And then also Ride the Lightning. Great album, by the way. Creeping Death. Oh, God, what a song. Back then. So they were listening to them early on. I can remember when that first Metallica album was still on Metal Blade Records. Boy, if you own that album, is it worth money? It is worth a lot of money, and I could have bought it because I was working at a record store at the time. But Metallica, I'm pretty big fan of. Now, I love the Black Album. A lot of Metallica fans get separated there. They kind of think that that's kind of when Metallica sold out or went commercial. And of course, the song, oh God, Exit Light, Enter Night, Enter Sandman. Some Metallica fans just didn't like that album, but I thought it was fantastic. So I'm a Metallica fan. I've seen them in concert once with Guns N' Roses, and I think a lot of people would say that Guns N' Roses were metal. I like them too. Boy, when that album first came out, man, oh man, I'll never forget that, because that is really the first album you ever heard the F word on. It's the first album. You heard it many times on that album, but that was like when we were listening to that when we were teenagers and we were like 17, 18 years old. Like, oh my God, how cool is this, dude? Like, they're saying the F word. We were dropping F-bombs on this album, dude. How amazing is this? I mean, it was just good, right? It was just good. Like, the music was just good. Sweet Child of Mine and Welcome to the Jungle. That whole album. God, I wore it out. I wore out the cassette of that album. It's going to depend on what you think is metal. Def Leppard. I love the old Def Leppard, even before Hysteria came out, which Hysteria was just huge. But they kind of went a little more glammy, a little more pop metal, Alice Cooper. I was always a big Alice fan, from even back in the late 70s to the mid 80s. Iron Maiden. Loved Iron Maiden. Seventh Son of a Seventh Son was a tremendous album. I love that album. Can I Play with Madness? Queensryche. I am a huge fan. I'm getting to go see Jeff Tate do the entire Operation Mindcrime album, which is one of I've top. You ever ask people ask you what islands? It was a silly question anyway. What albums would you take if you were stranded on a desert island? First of all, you'd never be able to listen to them. So, what albums? But Operation Mindcrime is in my top 5 albums of all time. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant album. And I actually went into the studio and did a song from that with my buddy that owns a recording studio. I sang "Sweet Sister Mary," and oh God, it was so tremendously hard to do because Jeff Tate's one of the best vocalists I think in metal. And I'm getting to see him do Operation Mindcrime in October, and I can't wait because I never got to see Queensryche live. How do they compare with the recent ones? And I could go on and on. I could tell you so many metal bands. King Diamond, my God, I used to listen to him. One of the bands that I like a lot that are more new metal is Ghost. And I got introduced to Ghost by a few different people. A friend of mine who who was a friend of mine back in high school told me to listen to them and check them out. And I never really did. And then one of my best friends, Michelle, she really likes them, and she got me listening to them one time. We went on a road trip looking for vinyl, and I was listening to them in the car. And they do a lot of covers and stuff like that, but they're just really good, really good. They remind me a lot of King Diamond because King Diamond kind of took on that persona on stage where he became that person, and a lot of people were, oh my God, the devil worshiping people went nuts with him. Like, oh my God, he's a devil worshiper. He's satanic. He's this, he's that. Yeah, look, it's all stage personas, and that's what Ghost is. Very, very similar, and you could tell like the people who they liked. So, I think it's. Look, first of all, I got to say this: modern acts. There aren't many, man. Sadly. And I agree with one of the comments that Gene Simmons made on a recent interview. Gene is very gruff and abrupt. But he's not my favorite member of KISS. My favorite was always Paul. But Gene is very money hungry, very gruff and stuff. But one of the things he said kind of resonated. And the fact is that he came out and said he thinks rock is dead. In a way, I kind of tend to agree. And the way I agree is because on the radio and stuff, and on, not really radio anymore, but wherever you hear pop music and rock music and stuff like that, it's you don't hear much in the way of guitar at all. Nobody plays guitar much anymore. It's a lot of it is synth-made music and synthetic music, and the people I hear that are playing a lot of guitar now are country artists. And God bless, at least someone is. But you don't hear too much. The James Gunn, when he did Peacemaker, the soundtrack for Peacemaker, a lot of the songs that were on that I kind of really liked. But you know where he got it all from? Overseas. You don't get a lot of stuff like that in the United States anymore. And you can tell me if you think I'm wrong when you listen to the response, but you just don't get a lot of that anymore. So there is really not a lot of modern acts that are out there that are following in the footsteps of what was being played in the 70s, in the 80s, in the 90s, even the grunge stuff. The Pearl Jams and the obviously they're still out there, but even in that you don't even hear a lot of that anymore. So it's tough, man. It's tough. And there's not a lot of modern music that I listen to, and I suppose I've grown into what my parents were. My parents hated my music. So I suppose that, a lot of the stuff that my daughter listens to, I really don't care for. I really don't like, and I guess it's because of that. So, but I would say like the band Ghost is the most. I didn't mean to make a rhyme there, but I think they're the closest to some of the metal bands that I listen to. So, but anyway, thanks for that. That takes me on a different little jaunt here and gets me into a music one. The heavy one from Models. What I think he meant to say, heavier question for the pod. What I think he meant to say would get you. Or no, he just said, what would stop you playing Snap? Stop me playing Snap if the game was still going on like it was? I don't know that I would, because I'd still be doing this. I'd still be doing the show. So I'd kind of have to. So then in that case, you're asking me what would get you to stop doing this? Would take a lot, because I really enjoy it. If they'd monetize me out of it. If they started to, let's say, charge for like, if the Snap Packs went away and the monetization became ridiculously high, because as of right now, at least we do have the free Snap Packs. Well, they're not free. I mean, the tokens. But if it came to a point where they would monetize the Snap Packs with gold, that would probably make me stop playing. I have a ton of tokens. I have 48,000 after today, and I bought Dormammu. But if they priced me out to the point of where they stopped making that they made you pay gold for all of the packs and all of the cards and all that, then I'd be out, because I wouldn't do it. So then I would be out. But it is a heavy question, because you're asking me what would make me stop doing this. What I'm doing here is more important than the game, because of the relationships I've formed, the people like yourself who I have back and forths with, and just doing this. So it would, because obviously if I wasn't playing the game anymore, I wouldn't be doing this anymore. So it would be something to get me to stop doing this. So it is a heavy question. if they monetized me out of it, yes, then I would. Because believe me, I am a working man. My wife and I, we live in a house, obviously. We have a nice little house. It is not by any means we are not rich. We are living paycheck to paycheck, like I'm sure a lot of other people are. We don't have brand new cars. We don't take trips overseas or take trips to Disney. I would love to go, but we don't have the money. So we live by our means. But if they monetized me out of it, then that would cause me to stop. So, yeah. And it is heavy because it kind of makes me sad. All right. Well, thanks, guys. Thank you for the questions. And please keep sending them. I appreciate them so much. I'm sorry I can't do the Gold Pass thing anymore. I think I gave like 2 of those away. I'm sorry I can't do it. Right now we just can't because they don't have a way to gift people in the shop. But I'm sorry I can't do it. And I would almost rather give away a season pass anyway than gold. I don't want to put anybody in a situation where they're spending gold and stuff like that on the game. So I would rather not do that anyway. But yeah, so, all right, well, there you go. So thank you for that. That is the DJ call in. Thank you so much. And please, like I said, keep sending them to me. I really would appreciate it if you did. No real incentive to do so, but to hear my answer. But I would really appreciate you keep on sending those every week, whether it be Blue Sky to my Discord, where either my own Discord or the one in Snap Judgments, or also to on Twitter, whichever way you choose. I would appreciate it. Thank you so much. It doesn't always have to be a question. It could be a comment. You could send me a comment of things, what you're feeling about the whole thing with Snap, things like that, and I will gladly read that aloud on the show too. So, all right, we're going to get into what's in the shop a little bit. We're going to talk about, I did get the new card today. Of course, Dormammu came out. I did get that. And I did get that as well. So yeah, we'll talk about what's in the shop a little bit. And we've already gone. My God, I'm already over an hour. So we're kind of getting into the nitty gritty here. But yeah. Conquest. I'm 1 away from the Arrow card, so I'm sure I'll get that. The Overdrive thing is 18 hours, has got 18 hours left in it. So whether or not you finished it or not, I don't know. But but whatever, however you chose to do with that is totally up to you. But let's look at some of the. Obviously, we'll look at Dormammu first. We're going to get into him in Comics Corner, but he is, of course, a 7-Eleven, like the convenience stores up here. He's got a summoning ritual. He says, game start. Begin a summoning ritual. Add step 1 to hand. Step 1 is a 0-cost summoning ritual. On reveal, merge your highest power destroyed card with Dormammu to continue. So you obviously have to destroy a card. And this costs 0. So it's got to merge with a destroyed card. So you got to destroy a card, and then you can put it down, and you can merge it with it. The next step is Dormammu steals 1 power from each card here to continue. So wherever you play this, it's going to steal a card from each, or power from each one of those cards, and then destroy 2 of your characters here to summon Dormammu. So that is the 3rd step, and then of course you get Dormammu out. So now he is going to. Oh no, they changed that. Destroy 2 of your characters here to summon Dormammu. Destroy. Yeah. Oh no. So he's going to steal. Yeah. So he's going to steal 1 power from each card. So the most you're going to get, right? Because you have to play this ritual down. So from each card here. So the most you're going to get is 1 power from each card. So if you have 3 cards there at the time, you're going to get 3 extra power for Dormammu. And then you're going to merge your highest power destroyed card with him as well. So you're going to get 3. So that's going to put him up to a 14. And it's going to depend what cards you merge him with to make him bigger. So and then you could summon him. So that is that card. Cobra, who I told you I did get, activate, destroy an enemy created card here. It's good against like Arshem. But other than that, I don't really know what you're going to use this useless thing for. Obviously good in the Sanctum mode, or in the Overdrive mode, because you're going to have a lot of created cards. So good in that, and good in against Arshem. But other than that, pretty crappy. So I did get those. I did get the Doom variant. The Doom variant is Sorcerer Doom and is very recent. This artwork is very recent because it's kind of what's going on in Marvel Comics right now. He is Sorcerer Doom, ruler of all. So he's basically running the world right now in comics, which I'll get into in a little bit when I talk about Comics Corner. But that is a very recent artwork. And I did get some nice splits. I have a gold split with Crackle for him. So I did pick that up from the shop. And then I also was able to get Iron Lad from the shop. That is the Justin Fields variant. And I really wish this thing would have looked nicer than it does. It is great artwork, but when you split it, it doesn't split right. And it's not coming out of the card like it normally does. So it kind of just looks blurry, which is a real shame, because it is a very nice card. So I hope maybe they fix it somewhere along the way. I did get the Dan Hip Corvus Glaive. I got that entire... Do I have that entire album? I think I do. Let me look quick. No, I don't have it all. But I got Grandmaster, Black Swan, Fastos, Kyera, Corvus Glaive, Beta Ray Bill, and Nocturne. I'm still missing Emperor Hulkling, Blink, Cull Obsidian, Proxima Midnight, and Supergiant from that Dan Hip one. So I did not get the Grandmaster holding the gold ticket emote yet. But I imagine I will probably pull some of these because I think a lot of them are 700 gold variants, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm sure I'll get some along the way. And I'm still waiting for that damn freaking Annihilus to get my Galactus from the I Am Ivan fan album as well. So, and I also did buy, and this is probably going to be my last ever purchase, by the way. So this will go down in Snap history for Joe as being the last purchase I'm ever going to make with money in their shop. And I got the Hood Nouveau variant because I wanted the other Hood because the Hood looks really cool, or the Demon rather looks very cool. And speaking of the Hood, he is going to be debuting on Ironheart in just about 7 minutes my time, Eastern time. So you will see the Hood in an MCU project. So that's cool. I did get the Nightmare variant, which is done by Creative House Pocket. So I got that. And I think the rest of them are all from last week. Nightmare, yeah, I think that's about it. Yep, so there you go. So not much in the way of variants. Let's look at decks quickly. The two decks I'm going to try Dormammu in. These were made by It's Guess Gaming. This one is a Thanos Destroy Dormammu, which has the Hood, Strange Supreme, White Widow, Firehair, Killmonger, Negasonic, Luna Snow, Misery, Mockingbird, Thanos, Dormammu, and Death. I haven't tried it yet, but this is the one I'm generally going to try playing. Going to try it a little bit in Conquest first, get used to it, and then I'm going to play it maybe on Ladder. Ladder, I'm still, by the way, sitting at 85. Yes, I am still at 85 from 2 weeks ago. So, yeah, that didn't change because, it's the 80s, and that's how it goes. The other one I'm going to try is this one, and this is also from It's Guess Gaming. This is Dormammu, Nicholas Scratch. So this is the Hood, Nicholas Scratch, Nico Minoru, Carnage, Surge, Merlin, Red Guardian, Venom, Luna Snow, Sentry, Annihilus, and Dormammu. So it's kind of a little bit of a clog list in here in a way. But you have the Sentry Annihilus combo, but you also have the Nicholas Scratch in there to go along with Merlin and Dormammu as well. Get him a little bit bigger and stuff like that. So I'm going to try both of those. As far as the decks that I played in Overdrive, mostly I played this one. This seemed to have the most success as far as winning games. Merlin, Gambit, Negasonic, Venom, Gladiator, Shang-Chi. Everybody was playing Shang-Chi. The other card I think I saw mostly that everyone played was Eson. Everybody's playing that. But Enchantress, Wiccan, Lady Deathstrike, Cannonball, Gamora, and Null. So I was able to win a lot with this because of the Shang that I would kill were just big cards. Sometimes I'd kill 2 or 3 big cards in a lane in that mode, and Null would just be humongous. So that's mostly what I played in Overdrive when I was playing the mode. And then some of the other decks that I've been trying on regular ladder. This one is from KM Best's best decks list. This is called the deck with no name. Quicksilver, Mercury, Fenris Wolf, Hawkeye, Kate Bishop, Merlin, Negasonic, Red Guardian, Gladiator, Shang-Chi, Wiccan, Cannonball, Eliath is this one. And then I was trying this one out. This one is Binks that made this one. This is called New Mill. It's Mill without the milling, basically. Hood, Shadow King, Surge, Fenris Wolf, Iron Patriot, Killmonger, Negasonic, Luna Snow, Shang-Chi, Misery, Lady Deathstrike, and Death. And then, let's see, I think I've just been playing some Nightmare stuff. I tried the one with Black Knight, but I just could not. I don't ever get that to work. I either don't draw Black Knight until way too late in the game. This has Ghost Rider in it too, so you could always do that combo where you get the Black Knight, Infinite discarded right out of your hand right away, and then you can pull it back with Ghost Rider, and you also have a 420 Ebony Blade. But I never get that to happen. I never, ever get it to happen. And in fact, what I'm finding with Nightmare is I'm not drawing him early enough either, and I get him much too late in the game in order for me to play him. But mostly with him, I've been playing him in just this basic Surtur list, which is Zabu, Sauron, Ebony Maw, Surge, Lizard, Nightmare, Surtur, Starbrand, Enchantress, Atuma, Typhoid, and Red Skull. So if you don't get the Nightmare, you most of the time at least get the Sauron and stuff like that. So that's the one I've been playing there. And let's see, what else is in the shop today? I'm not really going to highlight bundles and stuff anymore, guys, being honest, because that just goes with the whole spending money thing. And I'm not really going to, I don't think, go over that anymore in the what's in the shop section, because I don't really feel like it's prudent anymore. Because I told you after the demon thing, I'm done buying bundles. I'm not spending any more money because that just kind of adds to what I don't want to happen with the game, and I'm not going to do that anymore. And I know that maybe a lot of other creators are going to kind of follow suit or kind of said that they're going to do the same. So I'm not going to be spending money. That includes on the Vibranium offers. That includes the bundles. There's an Agatha Harkness bundle. Any of the other ones, Red Guardian, Gladiator, and including also buying cards for gold in the shop. I'm not going to be doing that anymore either. That also means variants as well. So yeah, my days with that are done. So yeah. All right. What else do we have? Like I said, we have Sanctum coming tomorrow. So that is pretty much going to do it for what's in the shop. So that is going to venture into, now it is time to go into Comics Corner. I don't want this to run too long, so we're going to get into that. But maybe in place of what's in the shop, we might run something else, something different, maybe a segment that I can do down the road. If you have any suggestions, please let me know what I could replace that with. Something different that I could do in the shop that's not monetary concerned. Or something on the show that I can do that's not monetary concerned. I didn't mean the shop, the show. Please let me know. Give me some ideas or hints about what I can do, and maybe I'll choose one of yours to fill that void. So, all right, Dormammu. Let's talk about Dormammu, shall we? Again, like I said, was introduced to him at a very, very young age, probably about 7 or 8 years old, when I was reading Doctor Strange comics back in the day. So I knew about him, and his artwork was very, very cool. All right, so he appeared first in Strange Tales number 126. that came out in November of 1964. The OGs again, guys, Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. Stan Lee, the writer. Steve Ditko was the artist. Dormammu is a character appearing in Marvel Comics created by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. First appeared in Strange Tales 126, 1964. He is the extra. An interdimensional demonic entity and deity brother of Umar. I remember Umar in the comics too. Umar appeared in Doctor Strange comics as well. And the uncle of the superheroine Clea. Okay, so he's not her father, he's her uncle. Who rules over the dark dimension. The character has endured as a recurring antagonist to the superhero Doctor Strange. Dormammu has appeared in associated Marvel merchandise, including films, animated television series, toys, trading cards, and video games. He made his live-action debut in 2016 Marvel Cinematic Universe film Doctor Strange, performed through motion capture by Benedict Cumberbatch, and voiced by a mixture of Cumberbatch and an unidentified British actor. I didn't know that. I didn't know that Cumberbatch did the voice of Dormammu. That's cool. I had no idea that was the case. Wow, that's pretty cool. I did not know that. Species, he is Faltine. Team affiliations, the Mindless Ones. Partnerships with Umar. Notable aliases, Lord of the Dark Dimension, the Great Enigma, Lord of Darkness, the Dread One, Lord of Chaos. Ability, superhuman strength, speed, and durability, mystic energy manipulation, dimensional teleportation, mastery of dark magic, energy projection, body possession, power bestowal, size alteration, immortality, and time travel. Dormammu first appeared in Strange Tales number 126 and 127 in 1964, but had been mentioned previously in dialogue along with his realm, the Dark Dimension. Writer Mike Conroy said to Lee and Ditko, the Lord of the Realm of Darkness and associated invocations were just another piece of business, another way of adding depth to the otherworldly nature of Strange's adventures. However, the readers were intrigued. They wanted to know more. It seems there was something about that nutty name, Dormammu, that was keeping Doc's devoted disciples awake at nights, trying to figure out who Dormammu was. Lee explained, I knew I was in big trouble. Oh, this is from Stan Lee. I had made up the name. Now I had to dream up a character to go with the name. But who? How? Ditko visualized the answer. He gave the demonic DD a visage totally different from any villain I had ever seen in comics before, proclaimed Lee. That's awesome. After being established as the ruler of an alternate dimension, later described as the god tyrant of its denizens, Dormammu became a perennial foe of Sorcerer Supreme Stephen Strange, who until this time had dealt almost exclusively with offbeat, one-off mystical threats in Strange Tales. Strange's first encounter with Dormammu in the Dark Dimension also introduced Clea, eventually revealed to be the niece of the villain like Clea's name. This was not initially revealed in Strange Tales number 126, and the monstrous and imprisoned Mindless Ones. The character's major appearances include starring in an epic 15-issue storyline in Strange Tales from number 131 to 146. I have to go back and read these because I probably did not read that. April 1965 to July 1966. Of course, that was before I was born. The discovery that Dormammu had a sister Umar, and both are in fact mystical beings called Faltine, in Strange Tales 150, teaming with fellow villain Loki to instigate the Avengers Defenders War in the Avengers 115 through 118 in September through December 1973, and the Defenders 8 through 11 in September through December 1973, Thor Annual number 9 in 1981, Doctor Strange Sorcerer Supreme 1 and 2, November 1988 and 89, and the limited series Doctor Strange The Flight of Bones number 1 through 4 in May 1999, and Hellcat 1 through 3 in September through November 2000. Through a major appearance in The Amazing Spider-Man number 498 through 500, Dormammu became the patron, Palron, missed a T there, of small-time villain The Hood in the New Avengers number 46. Oh, man, are they going to... Because there's mysticism in the new... Now I really have to watch Ironheart. Are they going to reference Dormammu in Ironheart? Because they do mess around with magic in that show. Oh, man, dude. Now I'm even more excited. Dormammu is first mentioned by Carl Amadeus Mordo, senior apprentice of the Ancient One who serves as the Sorcerer Supreme and Protector of Earth. Secretly in the entity's service, Mordo attempts to slowly weaken the Ancient One as a means of enabling Dormammu to finally extend his rule to Earth, but is stopped when his fellow pupil Stephen Strange alerts his master to the betrayal. The character later appears in person when sending a messenger to boast his renewed intentions of conquering his universe before his aging adversary. In response, Doctor Strange travels to Dormammu's dark dimension, as the Ancient One does not consider himself powerful enough to defeat Dormammu and manages to overcome all of the supernatural servitors sent against him. Dormammu engages Strange in mystical combat and shows himself to be far more powerful, but when drawing upon the realm's energies, inadvertently weakens the barrier containing the hordes of mindless ones. Since they threatened Dormammu's subjects, Strange helped his enemy to reseal the juggernauts by letting power from his amulet flow into Dormammu. Indebted to Strange for his help, Dormammu ends the fight, and in return, Strange demands a binding vow to never enter the Earth realm again and to not harm Clea. Dormammu complies, but gains a burning hatred against Strange for the humiliation. Dormammu uses a loophole to his oath by granting Mordo vast power, whereupon the sorcerer leads his minions on a lengthy hunt for Strange and abduct the Ancient One as a bargaining chip. Dormammu's niece Clea assists Strange by weakening the barrier of the mindless ones, forcing her uncle to focus elsewhere. Dormammu learns of her betrayal, brings all three Earth sorcerers to a neutral realm to let her see his disciple destroy Strange, and summons fellow lords of the Netherworlds to watch the spectacle. When Strange begins to get advantage against Mordo, Dormammu decides to face the sorcerer in a contest of pure hand-to-hand combat. The physically stronger entity eventually fails to his foe's greater familiarity with martial arts. To Dormammu's humiliation before the gathered lords, Strange forces him to vow not to menace the Earth, even by proxy. The villain strikes a parting blow by banishing Clea and inciting another lord to attack Strange. In an apparent bid for power, the character engages the universal embodiment, Eternity, in single combat, but is defeated and banished. Dormammu captures Clea and overpowers and imprisons Strange. The sorcerer manipulates Umar into freeing him and then surprises Dormammu by pushing him through a portal to the Earth. This makes the entity wither from the curse cast by his own power when vowing to never enter the Earth realm, and he departs to his own plane. Then it goes through the 70s, enters into an alliance with Loki, and tricks superhero teams, the Avengers and Defenders, into fighting each other for components of the artifact known as the Evil Eye. Character manages to reintegrate himself on Earth, but recovering slowly to gain full strength. Together with Umar, Dormammu captures the elder goddess Gaia and seeks revenge against the Scarlet Witch by kidnapping her and her mentor Agatha Harkness from her wedding to the Vision. After Wanda and Agatha remove what the heat needed for his regeneration, he departs for his own realm. Immediately afterwards, he attempts to destroy Doctor Strange and Clea. He is betrayed by Umar, who steals his power and allows the character to be banished to Earth. In the 80s, acts as the envoy of Lord Chaos and plays against Odin in a cosmic chess match whose outcome decides the universal balance of chaos and order. Umar attempts to rig the game in her brother's favor by manipulating Odin's son Thor unsuccessfully, and the game ends in a draw. In the 90s, the character reconstitutes again, regains control of the Dark Dimension from Clea by subverting her will, and summons her parents, Umar and Orini, from exile. Umar and Baron Mordo join forces with Clea and Doctor Strange. The enraged Dormammu threatens to completely destroy the Dark Dimension in retaliation, but Umar convinces him to accept a compromise as the ruler of a sub-realm, whereas his sister takes over rulership from Clea with Mordo as her consort. Clea agrees to abdicate rather than see all of her people killed, but promises to return if Umar becomes a tyrant again. Dormammu finds that he has been tricked into becoming the ruler of the realm of the mindless ones. So it goes through 80s, 2000s, 2010s, 2020s. He's even into new stuff. During the One World Under Doom storyline, which is now, Dormammu learns that Doctor Doom has become the new Sorcerer Supreme in the aftermath of the Blood Hunt storyline, noting that Doctor Doom is shirking on some of the responsibilities of his Sorcerer Supreme, Dormammu states that now is the time for him to start an invasion from the Dark Dimension. It's been described as something worse than a demon. It is unknown exactly how ancient he is, as he inhabits a wholly alien realm separate from the rest of the Marvel Universe that defies the laws of physics as understood on Earth. He's known to have already existed at the creation of the current demonic netherworlds, to have clashed with Agamotto hundreds of millions of years ago, to have served as the primary enemy of Vishanti ever since. And then, of course, I went over his powers. Doctor Strange acknowledges him as his most terrible foe. He's described as a threat to the life of the universe itself. That full power no one can stand against. Project energy bolts and beams. He's able to alter his size and teleport across dimensions. Can use powers to travel through time. Can give a portion of his powers to others and turn them into powerful beings. The Hood tapped the powers of Dormammu to resurrect the dead. He is able to manipulate matter to alter shape and objects. He has the power to manipulate reality. Character can possess the body of another being. He also appears to be immortal. Seemingly stronger in the Dark Dimension as he is empowered by the worship of his followers. Reception to him and critical response. Adam Holmes of Cinema Blend included Dormammu in their 10 awesome Marvel villains we need to see in the MCU list. Jamie Lovett of comicbook.com ranked him first in their 5 greatest Doctor Strange villains list. Trey Pash of MovieWeb ranked Dormammu first in their Doctor Strange His Best Comics Villains list. Rachel Ulatowski of the Mary Sue ranked Dormammu fourth in their strongest Marvel villains list. Chris Heisman of Looper ranked Dormammu fourth in Doctor Strange's most powerful villains list. Screen Rant ranked him in their 10 best characters who made their debut in Doctor Strange comics. And on and on and on. Marvel Mangaverse. He's in the Marvel Mangaverse. An alternate universe variant of Dormammu from Earth 2301 appears in Marvel Mangaverse. Ultimate Marvel. An alternate variant of him from Earth 1610 appears in Ultimate Marvel. After killing Doctor Strange's son, he is confronted by the Fantastic Four and transformed into a powerless human. On television, he's been in Spider-Woman in episode Realm of Darkness. Appeared in Spider-Man the Animated Series, voiced by Ed Gilbert. This version uses his servant Baron Mordo in attempts to free himself from the Dark Dimension. One included possession of Mary Jane Watson. The other includes Mordo bringing the Venom symbiote back to Earth and rebonds to Eddie Brock to assist Mordo. When Venom and Brock have a change of heart, however, Dormammu turns Cletus Cassidy into Carnage to take Venom's place. Ultimately, Spider-Man, Iron Man, Brock, and Venom join forces to foil Dormammu's plans, with Brock and Venom sacrificing themselves to do so. He appeared in the Superhero Squad show, voiced by Robert Englund, Freddy. That's awesome. Appears in Ultimate Spider-Man, voiced by Phil Lamar. Appears in Avengers Assemble, voiced by Phil Lamar. Appeared in Hulk and the Agents of Smash, voiced by Phil Lamar. Appeared in Marvel Disc Wars, The Avengers, voiced by Neil Kaplan. Was in Doctor Strange, of course, voiced by Jonathan Adams. This version seems to gain access to the main reality via the Sanctum Sanctorum, via comatose children and Mordo's help. After the Ancient One's death, Doctor Strange absorbs Dormammu and his army into the Eye of Agamotto, defeating him. Dormammu appears in Doctor Strange, voiced and motion captured by Benedict Cumberbatch. Blended with the film. The other one was the Doctor Strange I talked about last week, the one to curly hair. That's the film that was the made for TV film. Dormammu appears in Doctor Strange, voice and motion captured by Benedict Cumberbatch. So that's the MCU one. Blended with the voice of an unidentified British actor that director Scott Derrickson could not recall the name of. Well, that's a shame. This version appears as a massive face made of rippling mystical energy who seeks to absorb all other universes into his dark dimension. Misinterpreting this eternal existence as longevity, Caecilius and his zealots contact Dormammu for the use of his power to bring Earth into the dark dimension. However, Doctor Strange uses the Time Stone to trap himself and Dormammu in a time loop until the latter agrees to leave Earth and take the zealots with him in exchange for Strange breaking it. He's been in video games a lot. Wow. Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Marvel Superhero Squad Online, voiced by Robert Englund there too, Marvel Avengers Alliance, Marvel Heroes, Lego Marvel Superheroes, Lego Marvel Avengers, Marvel Future Fight, Marvel Contest of Champions, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, Marvel Powers United VR, Playable character in Lego Marvel Superheroes 2, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, The Black Order, Marvel Dimension of Heroes, Marvel Future Revolution, Marvel Strike Force, and now we, of course, include Marvel Snap. So there you go. There is a lot to talk about with Dormammu, and you can see why he is who he is, and one of the most powerful villains in all of Marvel, and one of the biggest enemies to ever face Doctor Strange. So I'm going to go to the Marvel Unlimited app, and we will look up Dormammu. And here he is. Details on him. The ancient Dormammu is a maniacal being who rules the dark dimension. Using his extra-dimensional abilities, he invades and attacks other realms across all planes of existence with an army of monstrous, mindless ones that do his bidding. Ultimate Dormammu is a little different. His details are: the Dormammu of Ultimate Marvel appeared to be a demon who warred against Doctor Stephen Strange. After using Human Torch as a power source to breach dimensions, he was revealed to be a human after Sue Storm saved her brother by placing a force field around the supposed demon's head. So, if you want to read about him, Doctor Strange, Sorcerer Supreme, 1998, 1996, The Defenders, Untold Tales of Spider-Man, Doctor Strange from 1968, 1969. See, I have to go back and read the old ones and his origin and stuff. Doctor Strange, 1999. Shame Itself, 2011. Uncanny X-Men, 2013-2015. Journey into Mystery, 2011 to 2013. When What If Comes True. The Dark Side of Doctor Strange. That's a reading guide. Ultimatum Fantastic Four Requiem one-shot. Ultimate Marvel Team-Up. Strange Academy Blood Hunt, The Last Annihilation of Wakanda, Doctor Strange Sorcerer Supreme, Guardians of the Galaxy. As you can see, he's in a ton. But what I would tell you is, if you want to know all about him, if you don't have the Marvel Unlimited app, try to get a collection of old Doctor Strange and just read up on all the origin stuff. Go back and read the Stan Lee stuff. That's going to be the best place to start. Strange Tales, of course, from 1951. But go back and read the OGs. That's what I'm going to do. And that's really how you learn all about this character. I'm going to see if I could find some of the childhood stuff that I read about him when I did back in the day. So, all right. Well, that is Comics Corner. And, of course, next week we will talk about his niece, Clea. And that is our last card for the Sorcerer's Month in Marvel Snap. So we'll talk about Clea next week as well. And of course, we've seen her now in the MCU. She was at the very end of Doctor Strange 2, recruiting Doctor Strange to go and help her for whatever she needed. So, and as I said, the Marvel Unlimited app is very, very cool. If you don't have a chance to go out and get comics from a comic store, which I'd always recommend you do first, go out and check all of the new comics in the Marvel Unlimited app. And new this week, let me see what we've got. Sam Wilson, Captain America, which I've enjoyed, is up to issue number 3. Ultimate Black Panther is up to issue number 14. Eddie Brock, Carnage, number 2. Exceptional X-Men is up to issue number 7. The New Champions is up to issue number 3. Deadpool Wolverine is up to issue number 3. Fantastic Four Facsimile Editions, which is one of their original comics from the 60s. The Avengers is up to issue number 24. Ultimate X-Men up to number 13. Magic is very good, up to issue number 3. The TVA comic is up to issue number 4. One World Under Doom is up to issue number 2. Psylocke is up to issue number 5. Cable Love and Chrome is up to issue number 3. Miles Morales Spider-Man up to issue number 31. Herbie issue number 3. Doom 2099 is a reprint of all of those. Fantastic Four 2099s. All of those are reprints, or facsimile reprints. So that's what's new in the shop. Marvel Unlimited, best $10 a month I spend. I love it. I read my books. I get them very easily, and it's very, very cool to do so. So pick that up if you don't have a comic store near you. All right. So that is going to take us, guys, to the end of the show, and we are going to talk about the MCU Minute. And, of course, like I said, Ironheart debuts. It has debuted already, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to watch it as soon as I get off of the show tonight. And we are going to talk about the MCU. We're going to do the MCU Minute, and we're going to talk about some MCU news, other than Ironheart, of course. See what we got going on. There wasn't a whole lot last week. MCU's new TV show is now out on Disney+. Of course, that's Ironheart. Ironheart. First reactions. Ironheart timeline. Pedro Pascal addresses Marvel Fantastic Four casting criticism. What can that be? Joining the MCU this summer, Fantastic Four First Steps addresses the criticism about his Reed Richards casting. Phase 6 is ready to kick off with Fantastic Four reboot. I don't know if you knew that, but Phase 6 starts with Fantastic Four. In an interview with Vanity Fair, Pascal shared how he saw some of the criticism when he was cast as Mr. Fantastic. While aware of it, he shared how former Iron Man star Robert Downey, who's returning to the MCU as Dr. Doom, was incredibly supportive, as he stated the following. I'm more aware of the disgruntlement around my casting than anything I've ever done. He's too old. Got to go to the full article. Give me a second. He's not right. He needs to shave. He's just so immediately generous and inviting that you feel like you can be afraid, you can be hungry, you can be ambivalent when speaking about how Downey Jr. showed his support to Pascal. Also had Downey Jr. comment in the actor's casting. Robert said Pascal's slow trajectory to becoming a household name who is on a wildly hot streak kind of reaffirms my faith in our industry. So that's what Robert Downey had to say. Fans will always make their voices heard, whether they are in favor or against the casting choice. However, the naysayers are usually a vocal minority, particularly in online spaces. General audience members who see MCU movies likely don't have many thoughts one way or the other until they actually see the film for themselves. With Pascal's stardom having only increased in recent years, it was only a matter of time until he landed a huge role in the MCU, being tapped for first steps, as Reed Richards is a pivotal one. It's no surprise that Downey has been there for Pascal through some of the rougher parts of his Mr. Fantastic casting, given how Tony Stark actor was also given similar reactions. Yeah, remember that? They all said the same thing about him too. So that's a lot of garbage. I think Pedro Pascal's amazing. I mean, he's awesome in The Mandalorian. He was awesome in The Last of Us. I love the actor personally. I think he's great. Black Panther returns to the MCU for the first time in 3 years. Back in 2022, Wakanda Forever. Sequel wasn't rushed into production for some reason, despite discussion of Black Panther's 3 inevitable existence. Wasn't until Denzel Washington said he was being cast in the sequel that we got any sense of those plans would become something concrete. There's no date for the project, as Marvel has a vacant 2027 spot and 4 spots slated for 2028. If one of them isn't the return of Latita Wright's Shuri in Wakanda, it would be very surprising, but that would mean 5 or possibly 6 years between sequels. That's a long time to wait. Avengers, Doomsday, and Secret Wars will likely bring Shuri back, with the former already confirmed to include the Wakandans, but with Doomsday not coming for another 18 months. Any bone thrown back to Black Panther fans will be gobbled up, and that's exactly what the MCU has done, thanks to the opening episode of Ironheart. Spoilers! Damn it. I didn't mean to do that. Darn it. I spoiled myself. Mostly it's just reviews about Ironheart, and I don't want to read them on here because I don't want to give it away. Yeah, I don't want to go into that much. Marvel Lee confirms. Yeah, this is all like spoilery stuff. All right, well, this is probably not. Ironheart's MCU timeline placement revealed for Disney Plus show. First 3 episodes of Marvel's Ironheart will be released on Disney Plus later. That's today. Now. Set after the events of Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, the show sees Dominic Thorne reprise his role as reprise the role as Riri Williams, while Anthony Ramos plays Parker Robbins the Hood. It takes place. Time has passed, probably a good less than a year, like between 6 months to a year after Wakanda Forever. I mean, I'm the guy that was like, wait a minute, Spider-Man Homecoming, the 8 years later, like this doesn't track. So the timeline, that's huge for me, but I will tell you in developing the show, was always meant to be like 6 months to a year after Wakanda. I got to be honest, I can't remember how we landed on it, but that was always the intention. And I know that some of the Marvel shows and movies are kind of like floating in the 2020s at different points. But I would call it about 6 months after, so there you go. So it's set after the events of Wakanda Forever, about 6 months after that, which makes sense because, again, that's when she was kind of introduced. All right, well, again, it's kind of a slow day in MCU news. It really only is mostly about Ironheart, and I don't want to read that stuff because I don't want to spoil any of it for you. Go and watch it. It's on now. You can see the first 3 episodes tonight. I will be checking it out, and I will review it next week. I think it's 3 episodes this week, and then I'm not sure if it goes 1, 1, and 1 after that. I don't really know yet, or if it's going to go 3 and 3, but it's probably going to go 3, then 1, 1, and 1, I would imagine. That's probably the way it's going to go. But we shall see. But in any case, go check it out. That will be on. And then the next Marvel project that comes out, I think, is The Eyes of Wakanda, which is animated. That will be after that. And then, of course, Fantastic Four is in July, is next month. So, all right, guys, that's it for me. Sorry I was long-winded in the spin, but, I wanted to iterate all my thoughts and everything on what everybody else was doing. I didn't get a chance to put out any kind of a video or podcast or anything since last Tuesday. So you got all my thoughts, and I hope I made everything clear. Please keep sending me. I know I can't do the Gold Pass thing anymore, but please keep sending me the DJ call-ins. I really, really appreciate them all. And they, like I said, like this week's one was about music. They don't all have to be about Marvel or about Marvel Snap. So just please keep sending those to me. I appreciate it over on Blue Sky, Twitter, my Discord on Snap Judgments, whichever. Listen, it's a new card. I know everybody enjoys the new card, so enjoy Dormammu if you're playing him. However you choose to play, enjoy the game, enjoy Snap. Hopefully things will get better, like Howard Jones used to say on that song, things can only get better. Whoa, 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 whoa. I hope they do, and I'm here for it. But in any case, have a great rest of your week in Snap. I should be back with some guests hopefully next week. That'll be on my YouTube channel and on audio. And listen to all the other great pods that are out there on the Snap Judgments League. Check them all out. Again, please be kind to one another on the socials, especially in there and everywhere. Please be kind to one another always. Stay safe. And hopefully I will talk to you all on the next episode of Snap Decisions. This is your Snap DJ. Signing off.